She said she was a mother and a school teacher. Aisha Fraser's life tragically came to an end in a backyard where she was attacked and stabbed to death early Saturday with her kids nearby. An emotional 911 call reveals some of the horrific details, and we've decided to only air certain portions of that call that we believe are important for you to hear firsthand.
I need the police immediately. My brother is attacking his ex-wife.
This was the information police had as they responded to this home on Chagrin Boulevard Saturday morning. The caller is the sister of former Cuyahoga County Judge and State Senator Lance Mason. She was inside with Mason's two young daughters talking to police when she reported what was going on in the backyard.
He stabbed her and he said she's dead.
Found dead in the backyard was 45-year-old Aisha Fraser, a mother and school teacher at Shaker Heights Woodbury Elementary School. As police arrived on scene, Mason attempted to leave in an SUV, but crashed into a police cruiser, sending an officer to the hospital with serious injuries. Mason then ran from the scene of that crash back inside to where his sister and children were still on the phone with police.
I've got a three-man team going in, entering now.
Hey, is it that house?
I don't know, spot it now.
It's 1-1, it's on this side of the street. It's fuck. It's him, he came out of the house. It's him. Watch out, put your hands up. Put your hands up now. Put your hands up. Put him up. Put him up! You're gonna get shot! Put your hands up! Put your hands up! Don't let him back this shit! Shut up! Holy fuck!
Watch it, they got the dog up there. They're upstairs. I got contact. Put your hands behind your back. Do it now. Get him out. Watch. Is anyone else in the house?
My daughters and my sister.
Where are they? Are they hurt?
They're in this bedroom.
Are they hurt?
No, not in any way.
Okay, where's the weapon?
They're outside. I used their armor.
Any possibility of Hep C, anything like that, blood-related pathogen?
No.
Okay.
Is anyone else injured in this house?
No.
All right, roll to your side. Let's get you on your feet.
Stand on feet.
Yep.
Who's upstairs?
Wait, hang on.
Neighbor. I have no weapons.
All right, on your feet. Here, sit on your butt. All right.
Chad, make sure
Let's get on your knees.
Get him out.
On your knees.
Hold on this. I need to put my dog up there.
All the way up.
I'll clear it with him. It's fine. Oh, you got someone with you?
Okay, hang on.
Let's get him out. You got him?
Got him?
I gotta watch
His wrist is squirting out blood. We need him to the ambulance
Okay.
now.
Let's
Squirting out
go.
blood. Squirting out blood. Go.
Okay. Come on.
Go ahead, guys.
Watch. Where's the ambulance at?
Thank you.
Hold him up with the back with your hands. Where's?
Stay with him.
I am.
Got him? Stay with him.
All right. We need another squad.
We need another squad out here. Sit him down. Stop.
He's bleeding out. Let's go.
No, he's not bleeding out.
You need to be operational?
Okay, have a seat right here.
In the quiet streets of Shaker Heights, Ohio, Two lives collided in a moment that would forever change a community. On one side stood Lance Mason, a man of power and prestige, a former state senator who had risen to become a judge, sworn to uphold justice and protect the innocent. On the other was Aisha Fraser, a dedicated sixth-grade teacher whose students adored her, whose colleagues respected her, and whose daughters depended on her. November 17, 2018 began like any other custody exchange day. Aisha arrived with her two young daughters, ages 8 and 11, to drop them off. What happened in those next moments would leave a driveway stained with blood, two children traumatized beyond comprehension, and a community questioning everything they thought they knew about the justice system. The attack was brutal and swift. Multiple stab wounds. A beloved educator's life extinguished in seconds. The most disturbing detail? The man who wielded the knife wasn't a stranger or unknown assailant. It was Lance Mason, the girl's father, a former judge who had once sentenced criminals for similar acts of violence. How does someone entrusted to uphold the law commit such a horrific act? What warning signs were missed? And perhaps most importantly, how did a man who had previously assaulted this same woman, breaking her orbital bone and biting her face in a 2014 attack, find himself free to kill her just 4 years later? This isn't just a story about murder. It's about power, about systemic failures, and about what happens when those meant to protect us become the very danger we should fear most. What truly happened to Aisha Fraser, and could her death have been prevented? Before we continue with this shocking case, I want to welcome you to Crime Scene Exposed. Here at Crime Scene Exposed, we examine the most infamous crimes, baffling disappearances, disturbing confessions, and twisted criminal minds from around the world. If you appreciate detailed investigations and thorough analysis of cases like Aisha Fraser's, please take a moment to like this video and subscribe to our channel. Your support helps us bring more of these important stories to light. Now let's return to the tragic story of a teacher whose life was cut short by someone who should have protected her. Aisha Fraser was born and raised in Shaker Heights, Ohio, the community she would later serve as an educator. As an only child, she developed a strong sense of independence and determination early in life. In 1991, she graduated from Shaker Heights High School, where she first displayed the intelligence and warmth that would become her hallmarks. Her educational journey took her to Florida Agricultural and Mechanical University in Tallahassee, where she began nurturing her passion for learning and service. Not content to stop there, Aisha later earned both an MBA and a master's degree in education from Ursuline College, equipping herself with the tools to make a meaningful impact. Though she initially worked in business, Aisha found her true calling in 2002 when she joined Woodbury Elementary School in Shaker Heights as a sixth-grade history and math teacher. Her colleagues describe her as more than just an educator. She was a nurturer, a confidant, and an advocate. Students who struggled academically or emotionally found in Aisha a safe harbor. She often invited them to spend lunch periods or after-school time with her, ensuring no child felt overlooked or undervalued. Beyond the classroom, Aisha was active in Delta Sigma Theta, a sorority known for its commitment to public service. She also served as a representative for the Shaker Heights Teachers Association, fighting for better conditions for both educators and students. Few knew that in her younger years, Aisha was an accomplished modern dancer who once performed during a school assembly, showcasing her artistic talents. Friends recall her enthusiasm as a Cleveland Cavaliers fan, regularly attending games and sharing her excitement with those around her. But Aisha's greatest joy and commitment was to her two daughters, Audrey and Ava. Audrey, her older daughter, was born with Down syndrome, and Aisha became what friends called a fierce advocate for her. Every decision Aisha made centered on her daughter's well-being and future. In 2012, Aisha and her then-husband Lance Mason opened Audrey's Chocolate Shop, named after their daughter, to help cover medical expenses related to Audrey's care. The business reflected Aisha's practical approach to challenges and her dedication to her family. Lance Mason, a prominent figure in Ohio politics, had served as a state senator before being appointed as a judge. Their marriage seemed, from the outside, to be a union of two accomplished professionals dedicated to public service. But beneath this veneer of success and stability, tensions were mounting that would eventually erupt into violence, forever altering the course of Aisha's life and ultimately leading to its premature end. Lance Mason and Aisha Fraser appeared to be the perfect couple in Shaker Heights. He served as a Cuyahoga County judge after a successful stint as a state senator, while she earned respect as a dedicated sixth-grade teacher at Woodbury Elementary. Their professional achievements and family life painted a picture of success and stability to their community. When their daughter Audrey was born with Down syndrome, they faced the challenge head-on. In 2012, they established Audrey's Chocolate Shop, named after their daughter, to help cover mounting medical expenses while potentially creating future employment for her. This venture seemed to showcase their united approach to parenting a child with special needs. However, beneath this carefully constructed image, their relationship was beginning to crumble. Friends later recalled subtle changes in Aisha's behavior. She became more reserved at gatherings and frequently checked her phone with apparent anxiety. At school, colleagues noticed occasional fatigue and distraction, though her commitment to students remained unwavering. Those who worked with Lance observed concerning patterns in his temperament. Despite his impressive legal mind, he displayed disproportionate anger when challenged. Court employees witnessed moments when his professional facade cracked, revealing flashes of rage that seemed excessive. As time passed, the distance between them widened. Financial pressures persisted despite their professional success. The combined demands of caring for a child with special needs, maintaining careers, and running a side business created significant strain on their marriage. By mid-2014, the situation had deteriorated substantially. Arguments became more frequent and intense. Aisha shared concerns with close friends about Lance's increasing irritability and controlling behaviors, including monitoring her whereabouts and questioning her interactions with male colleagues. Neighbors reported hearing heated disputes from their home. Aisha began spending weekends at her parents' house with the children. Lance's work performance suffered, with cases requiring rescheduling due to his apparent inability to focus. On August 2, 2014, the couple attended a family function together. Witnesses described obvious tension between them. They departed early with their daughters in the back seat. What began as an argument during the drive home would escalate into a violent assault, setting in motion a tragic sequence of events that would culminate in Aisha's death 4 years later. As they drove home, an argument erupted between the couple. Without warning, Mason's anger exploded into physical violence. According to court records, he struck Aisha repeatedly in the head and face while he was driving. The assault was brutal and sustained. He punched her more than 20 times with closed fists, focusing his blows on her head and face. Their young daughters watched in terror from the back seat as their father attacked their mother. The violence escalated when Mason slammed Aisha's head against the dashboard, window, and passenger armrest of the vehicle. In a particularly horrific moment, he bit her face, leaving visible wounds. The attack was so severe that Aisha feared for her life. When the car finally stopped, Mason forced Aisha out of the vehicle and drove away with their daughters still inside. Bloodied and disoriented, Aisha managed to call for help.
All right, calm down so you can get some help, okay?
Aisha Mason.
911, Shaker Police, emergency.
Yes, my husband just beat me and threw me out the car. He has my 2 daughters in the car.
Where you at?
Van Aken Boulevard.
Yeah.
And Avalon. He just threw me out the car. Orange Saturn View 2008. I'm afraid he's going to hurt my daughters.
Is he with you now, or did he
No,
drive off?
He drove off.
Which way on Van Aken?
He went going down towards the police station. He probably hit Chagrin.
Okay, yeah, somebody else called about that. Where are you calling? What's your phone number? Where we can call you?
They're taking me to South Point now.
Who's taking you to South Point?
Some nice people in the car stopped. I jumped in.
You in the car now?
In another person's car. Please find my kids.
Are you injured?
Yes. I need some air. Oh.
Is it yeah, because we're going to, so do you want an officer to meet you up at South Point then?
Yes, but find my kids, Saturn View, 2008.
Do you know the plate? Do you have the plate? Do you have the plate? Do you know the plate on it?
It's, YME 479 or something like that, YME.
Car 2214-252, just be advised, I'm speaking to the victim, the wife, and she got picked up by another vehicle, and she's going to South Point. Where are you at right now?
I'm heading up Van Nathan.
She exited that orange vehicle, and she got picked up by a passerby. Hold on a second.
Do you have another phone? Did you dial 921?
That's what I think. Yeah, ma'am, what's your first name?
Aisha.
Aisha? Okay,
Yeah.
Can you tell the driver just to stop where you're at, and we're going to have the squad meet you.
Oh, okay.
An officer, okay? So where are you going to be pulling over at?
We're at this church, St. Peter's
Dominic's?
Lutheran Church. No,
What?
St. Peter's Lutheran Church. They want you to pull over and park.
So where are you at exactly?
St. Peter's Lutheran Church at Van Aiken and Ingleside. Did you find the car?
52252, the vehicle stopped at Van Aiken Ingleside. I'm going to have the squad respond there.
Did you find the
What kind of car are you in?
It's a black. What is this? They have the flashes on. It's a black. What kind of car is this? Mercedes.
A black Mercedes?
Yes. Did you find the Saturn
She's
View?
going to be in a black Mercedes with their flashes on, Van Aiken Ingleside. I'm calling the squad now.
They're here. Did you find the Saturn View?
Are you with an officer, ma'am?
Yeah, they just pulled up. Did
Okay.
you find the Saturn View?
Aisha was rushed to the hospital, where doctors documented extensive facial trauma. Her orbital bone, the socket surrounding her eye, was completely shattered, requiring complex reconstructive surgery. Medical professionals noted that the injuries were consistent with an attack of extreme violence and rage. The physical recovery would take months. The emotional scars would never fully heal. Mason was arrested later that day after returning to the area. Police found him with the children, who were physically unharmed but traumatized by what they had witnessed.
How's my wife?
You still want us to head up there?
How is she?
Where is she?
That's my sister.
Okay.
How's my wife?
What do you mean, how's your wife? Where would your wife be?
She jumped out the car. She's okay.
Police later arrested Mason. They found smoke grenades, guns, and ammo in the home. Less than a year ago, the Ohio Supreme Court suspended his license to practice law indefinitely. He also previously served as a state senator.
A search of his vehicle revealed blood evidence throughout the passenger compartment, confirming the violent nature of the assault. The Cuyahoga County Prosecutor's Office initially charged Mason with multiple serious felonies: kidnapping, domestic violence, felonious assault, attempted felonious assault, and child endangerment. If convicted on all counts, he faced potentially decades in prison. The case seemed straightforward, the evidence was overwhelming, and the injuries to Aisha were well documented. However, what followed revealed troubling aspects of how the justice system treats powerful figures. Despite the severity of the attack, Mason was ultimately allowed to plead guilty to only domestic violence and attempted felonious assault, with the remaining charges dropped. Judge Patricia Cosgrove sentenced him to just 2 years in prison, far less than the maximum possible sentence. Perhaps most disturbing were the letters of support Mason received from prominent community figures. Several influential individuals, including a congresswoman, wrote to the court requesting leniency. These letters emphasized Mason's professional accomplishments and community standing rather than addressing the brutality of his actions or the trauma inflicted on Aisha and their children. Aisha, facing financial pressures and concerned about providing for her daughters, did not oppose Mason's request for early release. This decision, which some might question, reflects the economic realities that often trap domestic violence victims, even educated professionals like Aisha, in cycles of vulnerability. After serving just 9 months of his 2-year sentence, Mason was released in June 2016. The justice system that he had once represented as a judge had treated him with remarkable leniency. Even more shocking, he was hired by Cleveland Mayor Frank Jackson's administration as a minority business development director, receiving a $45,000 annual salary despite his violent criminal conviction. While Mason rebuilt his life and career, Aisha lived with constant reminders of the attack. The reconstructive surgery left her with permanent facial changes. She continued teaching at Woodbury Elementary, where colleagues noted her resilience but also her heightened anxiety. Due to shared custody arrangements, she was forced to maintain contact with a man who had brutalized her, a common and dangerous reality for many domestic violence survivors. The 2014 assault should have been a red flag, a warning of the extreme violence Mason was capable of inflicting. Instead, it became a troubling example of how status and connections can influence justice, setting the stage for an even more tragic outcome. This case raises important questions about our justice system and how it handles domestic violence, especially when the perpetrator holds a position of power. What do you think about how Mason's first assault was handled? Should his position as a judge have demanded stricter consequences rather than leniency? Have you witnessed similar cases in your community where status influenced justice? We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Also, let us know what state or country you're watching from. Domestic violence affects communities worldwide. Now let's continue following Aisha's story after Mason's early release, as she attempted to rebuild her life while still connected to her abuser. Following the brutal assault and Mason's subsequent incarceration, Aisha Fraser faced the daunting task of rebuilding her shattered life. The physical wounds, though severe, eventually healed after reconstructive surgery, but the emotional and financial aftermath created lasting challenges that would follow her until her final day. As the sole provider for her 2 young daughters during Mason's imprisonment, Aisha shouldered tremendous financial pressure. The $150,000 civil judgment she won against Mason for her injuries, a sum many considered inadequate given the severity of the attack, provided some relief but couldn't compensate for the ongoing expenses of raising 2 children, one with special needs. Medical bills from her facial reconstruction surgery added to her financial burden, forcing her to make difficult choices about her family's future. Despite these personal hardships, Aisha's commitment to her students at Woodbury Elementary never wavered. Colleagues marveled at her resilience as she returned to the classroom, her passion for teaching seemingly undiminished by her trauma. Students continued to find in her a source of encouragement and support, never suspecting the private struggles their beloved teacher endured. She maintained her role as a representative for the Shaker Heights Teachers Association, advocating for educational improvements even as she quietly fought her own battles. Perhaps the most challenging aspect of Aisha's post-assault life was the custody arrangement that forced her to maintain regular contact with Mason after his release in 2016. The court granted him partial custody of their daughters, creating a situation where Aisha had no choice but to interact with her abuser during exchanges. This arrangement, common in domestic violence cases despite the obvious risks, placed Aisha in a position of ongoing vulnerability. The custody situation kept her in danger, explained Shante Thomas, Aisha's colleague and friend. She had to see him regularly because of the girls. There was no clean break possible. Each exchange became a moment of anxiety and fear, a reminder of the violence she had endured and the system that failed to fully protect her. As months passed, Aisha cautiously began to move forward with her life. By 2018, she had started a new relationship, taking a tentative step toward personal happiness after years of trauma. Friends noted a positive change in her demeanor. She smiled more often and spoke of future plans with renewed hope. However, Mason's response to Aisha's attempt to rebuild her life proved ominous. According to those close to the situation, his resentment grew as he observed her moving on. The man who had once held the position of judge, who had been entrusted to uphold justice, increasingly viewed his ex-wife's independence as a personal affront. Reports from mutual acquaintances suggested that Mason became fixated on Aisha's new relationship. His comments about her became more bitter and controlling. During custody exchanges, his demeanor grew increasingly hostile, though he carefully avoided crossing lines that might jeopardize his parental rights or employment. The tension mounted throughout the fall of 2018. Aisha confided in a few trusted friends that she felt increasingly uncomfortable during interactions with Mason. She considered seeking modifications to the custody arrangement, but worried about potential financial and legal repercussions. Like many domestic violence survivors, she found herself trapped in a system that continued to expose her to her abuser while offering limited pathways to safety. As November 2018 approached, the frequency of concerning incidents increased. Mason's comments became more threatening, though always carefully veiled. Aisha's anxiety intensified, but she continued to fulfill her obligations as a mother, including facilitating the court-mandated custody exchanges that would ultimately lead to her death. The stage was set for a final, fatal confrontation, one that would expose the catastrophic failures of a system designed to protect victims like Aisha Fraser. The morning of November 17, 2018, began like many Saturdays for Aisha Fraser, with preparations for a custody exchange of her two daughters, then aged 11 and 8. The routine had become a regular part of her life since Mason's release from prison, each exchange a brief but tense interaction with the man who had once brutalized her. Friends later recalled that Aisha had seemed particularly anxious in the days leading up to this exchange, though she kept the specific reasons to herself. Around 9:30 a.m., Aisha arrived at a residence on Chagrin Boulevard in Shaker Heights. The home belonged to Mason's sister, who often facilitated the custody exchanges, a common arrangement in high-conflict divorce situations. Aisha parked in the driveway and prepared to transfer her daughters and their belongings for their scheduled time with their father. What happened next would shock the conscience of the entire community. According to police reports and witness statements, Mason confronted Aisha in the driveway. Without warning or provocation, he produced a knife and began stabbing her repeatedly. The attack was swift, brutal, and relentless. Investigators would later determine that Aisha suffered multiple stab wounds in a frenzied assault that gave her no chance to defend herself or escape. Most horrifying of all, the attack occurred in full view of their daughters. The girls, who had already witnessed their father's violence 4 years earlier, now watched as he took their mother's life. Their screams alerted neighbors. Mason's sister called 911, reporting Aisha being assaulted in a driveway and children crying hysterically.
Come here.
911, what's your emergency?
I need the police immediately. My brother is attacking his ex-wife.
Okay, what is the phone number, or what is the address?
17611 Chagrin Boulevard.
Okay, is this a house or an
We're gonna need an ambulance too. I need the police and the ambulance.
Okay, is this a house or an apartment?
It's a house.
And are they both still there?
They're outside. I don't know. I just heard her screaming.
Okay, are there any guns or knives involved? Any weapons
I don't know.
that you're aware of?
There might be. I think there might be. Please hurry.
Okay, could you just stay on the phone with me and let me know what's going on?
Okay, I have their daughter. I'm inside with the daughter, so I don't want her to see anything.
Okay, yeah, keep her in there and try to stay calm so she doesn't get upset. I'm going to get my guys started out that way, okay? So just stay on the phone with me.
Okay. Let me see what's going on. You stay here. I'm just going to check outside.
Radio 50 and 31. Also 78, respond to 17611.
I don't know.
17611 Sugar, and callers advising that her brother is attacking his ex-wife. They are currently outside. She is in the house with their daughter. She's trying to keep me updated on what's going on. Could you see them or hear them now? She does not know if there's any weapons involved.
Okay, go with the address. Ma'am.
17611, 17611. Yes, ma'am.
He stabbed her and he said she's dead.
Oh my gosh. Shaker units, she's advising that her brother said he stabbed his ex-wife and she's dead. Hey, Katie, that's a possible stabbing in DOA.
Shaker units, if he takes off, I'm sending my dog. Do not run in front of him.
Okay, is he still there?
In the driveway.
Okay, what is he doing now? Does he have a car there? Is he trying to take off?
No.
Okay, are you able to give me your name?
I'm so sorry.
Someone who's behind, get a spot in that house.
I know.
Radio, let's get a description of him and is he in the house?
Okay, is that him coming back in the house?
He's inside the house.
Okay, could you tell me what he's wearing?
Black coat.
Okay.
Is he in the house?
And jeans.
Does he still have the knife? Did he leave it outside?
I don't know. He walked in and there's blood everywhere.
Okay, the caller survived. Could you see where your brother went?
I didn't see. I'm with the girls.
Okay.
Bravo 1 to 33, we're going to need you up here. And could you also start a squad?
The squad is en route. Also, she does not know where her brother went. He did go back outside. I don't know what direction he went.
As Aisha lay dying in the driveway, Mason's violence wasn't finished. He took Aisha's car keys and fled the scene in her vehicle, leaving his children traumatized and their mother fatally wounded. The first police officers arrived within minutes, but it was already too late for Aisha. Emergency medical personnel pronounced her dead at the scene. Her life ended at age 45 by the man who had once sworn to love and protect her. Mason's flight triggered an immediate police response. Officers established a perimeter and began searching for Aisha's vehicle. Within a short time, they spotted the car being driven erratically nearby. When officers attempted to stop him, Mason made another fateful decision. He accelerated toward a police cruiser, deliberately ramming it and injuring an officer inside. The impact damaged both vehicles, forcing Mason to abandon Aisha's car. He then fled on foot, returning to his sister's residence on Chagrin Boulevard, the same location where he had just murdered Aisha. There, he barricaded himself inside, creating a standoff situation that brought additional police units to the scene. SWAT team members surrounded the house as negotiators attempted to establish communication with Mason. The standoff was relatively brief. Within hours, police entered the residence and found Mason, who had sustained self-inflicted wounds in what appeared to be a suicide attempt. He was taken into custody and transported to a hospital for treatment under heavy guard. The former judge, who had once sentenced criminals from the bench, was now facing the most serious charges possible.
Were you hit anywhere, or were you stabbed at all?
Only if I hurt myself.
Put him up. He's just a hindrance. 2 people uninjured in there. Here.
3 people.
3 people uninjured?
Yeah, my 2 daughters, and I cannot believe I did this.
I need you to do security for these 2 people that are coming out. Hey, you need to move him out of here. Move him out of the front door. Put him down over here.
Okay, come on this way.
Move him out. Move him out of the way.
He is bleeding from his hands.
Okay. All right.
So we'll need him in this ambulance. Right this way.
Come here.
Hi.
He told me he has nothing to say after I Mirandized him. Are you the only male that was in that house at the time?
Yeah.
So far, he was the only male in the house at the time.
You may have to try to get it. This one, right?
No, I would think here.
Yeah, I would go that way. Yeah.
Got a smaller cut above it. Right hand.
Okay.
See the smaller one right here?
Yeah. Is that one spurting though?
That one's not spurting. That one's
Okay.
just oozing.
Okay.
Bring this finger. There you go.
Kind of this one because I say that's black, this one's red.
I'm gonna have to get in terms of
triage.
Yeah.
What do you need?
Tourniquet the shit out of it. Yep.
Yeah, we do.
No possibility of Hep C, any bloodborne issues.
Copy. Thank you.
Yep.
What?
Is that thing? Yeah, let's drink the fuck out of that thing. Like it's gonna fucking hurt.
Now that it's bandaged up, I can't tell if it's stopped, but...
How's your right arm feel? Okay, tighten the fuck out of that thing. I don't give a shit. That thing is, it's gonna like hurt to fucking move.
Okay, I just put your ET kit back in here.
10-4.
Alright, that's probably good. It looked pretty hard to tighten up. Yeah.
Alright, we got someone going with us?
Oh yeah, definitely.
We're gonna go down.
I don't know if it's exactly going to be me, but I'm not letting him out of my sight. If you guys could just pull his pants up when able. It was definitely. It was squirting out. Yeah.
The same? Okay.
Yeah.
All right, we got that digit We've got a pretty good lack on that. It's about ready to...
Okay.
In the days following Aisha Fraser's murder, the Cuyahoga County Prosecutor's Office moved swiftly to build their case against Lance Mason. The evidence was overwhelming. Multiple witnesses to the attack, the injured police officer from Mason's escape attempt, and the murder weapon recovered at the scene. On November 20th, 2018, just 3 days after the murder, Mason was charged with aggravated murder, felonious assault, violating a protection order, grand theft, and cruelty to animals. The inclusion of the animal cruelty charge stemmed from the discovery that Mason had also killed his sister's dog during the incident, a detail that further highlighted the explosive rage that had consumed him that day. The grand theft charge related to his theft of Aisha's vehicle during his escape attempt. Unlike his 2014 case, where his status and connections appeared to influence the outcome, Mason found no leniency this time. He was held without bail as the case proceeded toward trial. His previous position as a judge, which had once worked in his favor, now intensified public scrutiny and demands for justice. The legal proceedings moved methodically through the system. In August 2019, after several pretrial hearings and failed attempts by his defense team to suppress evidence, Mason accepted a plea deal. He pleaded guilty to murder, felonious assault, violating a protection order, and grand theft. The aggravated murder charge, which could have resulted in a life sentence without parole, was dropped as part of the agreement. On September 12, 2019, Mason appeared for sentencing before Judge John P. O'Donnell. The courtroom was packed with Aisha's family, friends, and colleagues. In a powerful victim impact statement, Aisha's mother, Millicent Fraser, addressed the court. She just had that loving personality and always thought on the positive side. It's never been the same. I just had to pick up the pieces. Judge O'Donnell sentenced Mason to life in prison with the possibility of parole after 35 years, effectively a life sentence for the then 51-year-old former judge. As the sentence was announced, audible sighs of relief echoed through the courtroom. For many present, the sentence represented the justice that had been denied in 2014.
Lance Mason walked into court and just 1 week before his 52nd birthday, proclaimed a decision that will likely dictate the rest of his life.
Your Honor, I wish to take responsibility for the crimes I committed. I don't wish to prolong it or delay it.
The former state lawmaker and judge emotional as he told the court he didn't want to cause his family any more pain than he already has. Mason then pled guilty to the aggravated murder of his ex-wife, Aisha Fraser. The Shaker Heights school teacher stabbed to death in front of her own daughter outside Mason's sister's house last November. In court, Mason said his daughter played a role in his decision not to go to trial.
There's no way I was going to let my daughter testify against me.
Now, prosecutors hope there's no way Mason ever walks out of prison a free man. He already served time behind bars for a 2014 assault against Fraser. In that case, he was released just 9 months into a 2-year sentence. Prosecutor Michael O'Malley wasn't in office at that time, but today pledged no more breaks for Mason.
Any human being who is capable of doing to what he did to his former spouse and to do it in front of his children is a very troubled, sick human being.
It's why O'Malley says he refused to cut a deal.
Guilty, Your Honor.
Mason forced to admit each crime, including violating a protection order, stealing Fraser's car, and then ramming a police officer who responded to the scene. Please, the prosecutor hopes, send a message far beyond the walls of this courtroom.
Domestic violence and these type of domestic abuse crosses all socioeconomic classes and races, and the reality is we see it too often in our community, and by making him accept every count, we're attempting to send the message to the people in this county that it will not be tolerated.
What we still haven't heard is
the community's support for Aisha's daughters continued to grow. The GoFundMe campaign ultimately raised over $100,000 to support their future needs. The Shaker Heights School District established a memorial scholarship in Aisha's name, ensuring her legacy would continue to benefit students for years to come. Aisha's colleagues at Woodbury Elementary created a memorial garden at the school, a peaceful space where students and staff could reflect on her contributions to their lives. During the dedication ceremony, Principal Danny Young remarked, "Ms. Fraser saw the potential in every child. This garden will remind us to do the same." Perhaps the most meaningful response came from Aisha students, who created a book of memories and lessons she had taught them. The pages filled with colorful drawings and heartfelt messages revealed the profound impact one teacher can have on countless young lives. As the legal case concluded, Aisha's mother became an advocate for domestic violence awareness, speaking at community events about the warning signs of abuse and the importance of supporting victims. If sharing Aisha's story saves even one life, she told a local reporter, then some meaning can come from our unbearable loss.
It saves everything. She just had that loving personality and always thought on the positive side. You know, she was a blessing.
Millicent Fraser's life changed on November 17, 2018.
It's never been the same. I just had to pick up the pieces.
That's the day her daughter and beloved Woodbury Elementary School teacher, Aisha Fraser, was murdered by her ex-husband.
The judge should have never let him out after 7 or 8 months because he never even conformed when he was in jail.
Aisha's friend and colleague, Shantae Thomas, says she knew Aisha was in danger from her ex-husband, Lance Mason, a former Cleveland judge who had already served time in prison for domestic violence against Aisha.
Oh my God, the system absolutely failed her. And, you know, being there throughout all of that, we all were just devastated to see the contact that she had to have with him because of the girls.
Since Aisha's death, Ohio lawmakers have continued to propose legislation known as Aisha's Law. A bipartisan group of more than 30 of them want her story to lead to change. They're being helped by Cuyahoga County Council member and Aisha's lifelong friend, Meredith Turner.
The bill is asking for law enforcement to be trained and learn how to assess victims of domestic violence, specifically the risk of them losing their life.
House Bill 486 would also create additional penalties for aggravated murder when the victim was a family member, and for child endangerment when the violence happens around children. Plus, it would mandate that courts have to have a judge available around the clock to issue protection orders.
I absolutely believe there is a very strong potential to save lives.
Aisha's loved ones hope that lawmakers can get it done this time so that other families don't have to suffer the same fate.
They really need to make a stiffer law because there have been other women here in the greater Cleveland area. It doesn't stop, it just gets worse.
Aisha's case follows a pattern familiar to domestic violence experts. Research shows that the most dangerous time for victims is when they attempt to leave the relationship or move forward with their lives. Aisha's new relationship likely triggered Mason's deadly rage, a phenomenon so common that experts have a term for it: separation assault. The broader implications of Aisha's case extend to how society views domestic violence perpetrators, particularly those with status and power. Her story highlights the need for consistent accountability, regardless of the abuser's position, comprehensive training for judges and law enforcement, and economic support for survivors seeking safety. Perhaps most importantly, Aisha's case reminds us that domestic violence is not a private family matter, but a public health crisis requiring community-wide response. Only through systemic change in our laws, institutions, and cultural attitudes can we prevent future tragedies like the one that took Aisha Fraser's life. What do you think could have prevented Aisha's murder? Should Mason's position as a judge have resulted in harsher consequences rather than leniency? How might the custody arrangements have been handled differently? If this case moved you, please take a moment to like this video and subscribe to Crime Scene Exposed. Your engagement helps us continue bringing attention to important stories like Aisha's. Share your thoughts in the comments below. Your perspective matters in these crucial conversations. Aisha Fraser's legacy lives on through her students, her daughters, and the legislative changes sparked by her death. Though her life was cut tragically short, her story continues to drive meaningful change in how we protect domestic violence victims and hold their abusers accountable.